There we go. Hey, everyone, and let me take this off. I'm going to give you a second to get here on the Facebook Live, and also it's going out on Twitter. But I'm also have some of my TikTok friends over to the side. So last week I did that too, and I don't know how many of them are teachers. You can't really tell, but they're going to be able to see the slides that we're going to look at. And last week we talked about rethinking digital assessments. And in that time, I've been reading this book and I'm obsessed with this book. My friend Kelly Hilton told me about it. And I bought it right away because I trust her, but I'm like dying right now. So we're going to be going over some of this, and I can't put it down. I'm like, I didn't go to bed until late last night reading this book. So last week, we talked about rethinking assessments, and we looked at, as a reminder, really quickly, it says not to do this, by the way, to go back over homework, although we weren't really doing homework. We looked at the for, of, and as assessment. Let me just put that up there. And we were looking at why it's important to have these three different types of assessment being, and hopefully my TikTok friends can kind of see that. They can see my messy screen. But being in America, we really focus only on summative. And we do a little bit of the process, the checks for understanding, but I don't think that we do it as much as we should. And NeuroTeach is backing me up on this. This is probably why I liked the book so much, right? But it's Brain Science and the Future of Education. And so I took a couple notes from it, but one of the things that it says is there are 13 things that teachers should never do again in their classroom, and they're super interesting, and I have them up on my blog. But one of the things that they say is assessment that's dominated by tests, particularly multiple choice tests, is something teachers should never do again. And what should we do in its place? Well, that's what we're going to talk about today. And they also say that there are the top 12 research-informed strategies every teacher should be doing with every student. And I don't mean to look down and lose your attention, but students should be given more frequent, formative, low-stakes assessments of learning. And I'm gonna show you some of those today. Those low-stakes ones, and how we can get away from just the summative. The summative is, we've learned about Rome. Now you're going to take an end of the chapter test. You're going to take a pop quiz. By the way, in this book, and I totally agree, and those of you who are on this Facebook Live, TikTok people don't know me that well yet, but you guys know that I am a big studier of all things education. And I spend a lot of time. This is like probably my fourth book since the new year. And I want to be an expert teacher. And I think I'm pretty close. But one of the things in that investigation, and I agree with this, and they say it in the book, is that you should never give a pop quiz for a grade. Now, you could give a pop quiz, but generally pop quizzes are done to catch students not doing the reading or catch them not being where they should be. And that's not teaching. If you're a teacher to catch students and to be like, ha ha, I got you. You didn't know the answer to that. You're in the wrong profession. Please consider something else. Because this is about learning, and this is about taking students on a learning journey. And so pop quizzes are not something that I think maybe like my first year I did pop quizzes because my teachers did it to me. But as I became a teacher, I realized I was just being controlling, which I have a tendency to do. So I had to really step back from that. But so we're going to look at today how we can do some of these things that are in the book. So in the book, I took these things out that really meant something to me. Stop assessments dominated by tests. Students should be given more frequent, formative, low-stakes assessments of learning. I'm going to show you one. We're going to break it down. And then students need opportunities to transfer that knowledge. Any of you who have been with me and any of these Facebook Lives know that I talk a lot about transfer of knowledge. And transfer of knowledge, just so we're on the same page, is taking, when we're with students and they learn something about whatever it is we're teaching, they need to be able to transfer that information, that new knowledge, to something new and novel. And when they do that transfer of knowledge is when learning is complete. But we often I think in America, we're stressed by standards and we're stressed by all of these things, and we don't do the transfer of knowledge. I spoke about it last week. That would be something that looks like I just learned about the colonies. And based on what we learned, I just learned about colonizing California with the missions. Now, how would I apply that to something new and novel, i.e., give advice to people colonizing Mars based on what we learned from colonizing California? That's a transfer of knowledge. I took this new knowledge I have and I transferred it over to something that hasn't happened yet. Something or something new and novel. So really important. So let's go look at that. And I want to give an example from one of my students who they were doing these manifestos. And one of the things that we did is in these manifestos, we had them turn them in on slides. So they wrote about their manifesto. And in most teaching circles, that would have been great. In fact, I wonder if I can quickly pull this up and so I can show you. Some of you have seen this already, but I have my TikTok friends here, so I want to show them. But here is an example of the manifestos that we did. And the kids did them right here. They made these in Canva, and then they wrote about them. They're all in slides. They can see each other's. It's pretty good learning, but we fell short because we didn't do something called press record. We need to hear more about their learning journey. So if we head back over here, this is students should be given more frequent, formative, low stakes assessments of learning. What does that look like? It doesn't look like this. It looks like this. It looks like Audrey telling me through Flipgrid, and by putting her manifesto on the screen and talking about it so I can see what she's talking about, she can see what she's talking about as she tells me about her learning journey. Some of you have seen this. This is like my favorite example. I get so happy with this one. Hey, from Peru. I just saw that come up.
And this is my manifesto. One thing I'm proud of is how it came out. Like, I really like the quotes that I put on there because they really speak to me. Like, stop worrying so much. I need to always remember these things.
So this is a low stakes assessment. She's just telling me about her learning journey, but I'm learning so much more. And I'm going to speed it up a little bit because I try not to spend too much time here on these Facebook Lives to give you your Saturdays. But I want you to listen to what she says about words. She was making the manifesto. She learned about fonts. She learned about the background. Great stuff that kids need to know for this digital world that they live in. But then she said this, and this is really important to me. And it's part of that assessment that we need to do more of. Never let a kid turn something in without hearing about it. Even if you don't have time to listen to them all, let them talk about their learning.
Really interfere with the quotes. And then I also learned how to curate lines.
Okay, good.
Like
and
quotes, and just organize it before they're put on the manifesto.
Here comes.
Then the last thing I learned is the power of words. I always knew words were meaningful, but these quotes, like I said before, really speak to me. And
the power of words is what she learned. I would have never known that in this. I would have never known some of the things that she really thought about. And I don't have hers on this one. That she thought about the fonts and she didn't really like that there were 5 of them. She would do less or do less than 5. I couldn't have known that. So many of you hear me talk about this all the time. We need to press record. Do not let a student turn something in unless they have pressed, and I'm sorry for my messy screen. I just saw it. Sorry, I got squirreled. But unless they press record and tell you about it. I have a co-teacher that I've been working with, and now I've kind of stepped back because I have to do some other stuff. And she sent me this incredible Padlet that these kids made these graphics, and it was so cool. And I said to her, a little message, I said, I'd love to hear what they say in Flipgrid about those graphics, you know, trying to like poke. but she's getting there. And she got all of them to make a graphic using Canva. She put it on Padlet. And I'm super happy for that. But I also need that extra part where I learn more about her learning. Here's just one other thing that they said in NeuroTeach, and I'm probably going to be referring to this a lot, that students need opportunity to transfer their knowledge through the visual or performing arts. So let's look at an example really quick of how they could do that. I'm going to go to Canva. I always go to Canva. Canva has a free education account. All you have to do is go to canva.com/education, and there's a place to sign up. They do really want you to show and prove that you're a teacher because they're going to give you so much for free. How embarrassing is this? Let me pull my screen over there. Anyway, all of this stuff for free. So they do want you to prove that you're a teacher. But inside of Canva, students can do something like this. This is called a 6-word summary. And a 6-word summary asks kids to take something that you've been doing, like in this case, reading Romeo and Juliet, and get it down to 6 words. And I think this is a really good example. Teenagers have brief affair, 6 die. Like, that's really good. Now, I love this. I'm going to put this on Padlet. Every kid's going to see each other's ones. They're all going to be different. They're going to be in a state of metacognition, looking at their Padlet, at each other's on the Padlet. It's all beautiful. It's all masterful teaching. And if you don't know what I mean, kids would come here, they would download it, and then they would upload it, and then we would have all of their things on Padlet so they could see each other's. They could comment on each other's. But what am I missing here? In that really good assessment piece, I need the student to now go over to Flipgrid, put it on the screen, and tell me why they chose those 6 words. And when they do that, they're probably going to say, well, you know, these 2 teenagers from these 2 families, they fell in love and then they commit suicide. But also, not only do they commit suicide, these things happen. And I get to see if they truly understood the novel and some of the stuff that are not novel, play, and some of the stuff that's going on there. So we're falling short of rethinking assessment when we don't get that press record. Great places for press record include Flipgrid, my number 1, Seesaw, really good. You could also do it in Padlet. I don't love it because you can't bring in all the filters and all of the things that you can in Flipgrid. I wouldn't know why you would go anywhere else. Guess what also has the ability to record? Canva. So a kid could just record over this. And I haven't used that yet because my kids know Flipgrid, and Flipgrid's easy for me to watch. So that's where I go. But if you start to think of assessment in this way of taking it one step further, if you ditch the multiple choice questions as often as you can, you're going to be the best 21st century teacher you can be. And guess what? We're in 2021. We shouldn't even be saying 21st century. We should be saying this. We should be saying you're going to be the best digital pedagogue that there is. And let's just repeat this because we did talk about it last week and I don't want to go long here, but digital pedagogy is the method and practice of teaching that takes into account how the purposeful use of digital tools can increase student engagement. You can be engaged in your assessment. Trust me. You know, like when I was a kid, I hated assessments. You should see assessments in my class. They're fun. They're awesome. They look like Audrey. And that increases student engagement. They empower student voice. I get to hear from every kid. I get to hear that kid's individual learning journey, not just answering the same multiple choice questions that every kid is answering. And finally, I get to create these more powerful learning experiences when they get to see each other's responses. Let's go back to that idea of the 6-word summary with the Romeo and Juliet. When I put them on a Padlet, or they put them all on a Padlet and they can see each other's, you've heard me say this before, I'm going to say it 10,000 times more. When they look at their Romeo and Juliet answer and they compare it with another kid's Romeo and Juliet answer, they go into a state of metacognition. And that's super strong. That's when you're masterful teaching. So I'm going to stop with some of this when I do my course or whatever, which will be a while from now because I'm studying so much. But it's really going to take a look at these brain-based ways that we have to do assessments now. We cannot do the same old multiple choice questions. And so this is helping get us past worksheets. You have to do some worksheets, but get worksheets off our thing that we always use and multiple choice. So I can't remember what's next week, but next Saturday, there'll be another thing. I'll put the schedule up on Facebook. And for my TikTok people, they stayed a little bit, I think. I can't tell. Oh, it went away. I'll be doing this every Saturday morning at 9. I don't know why I'm doing it to myself, but I am. I want to help people rethink this digital assessment piece. So have a wonderful Saturday, everyone. And thank you all for joining.